Back in the 70s, there was a little Melbourne boy with a fascination for very big cats. He was all alone in hospital with just 3 plastic toys for company: a lion, a tiger and a leopard. From that moment, Luke Hunter was hooked. Today, he's Dr. Luke Hunter, one of the world's most acclaimed big cat biologists. And his great love is the most elusive, the most mysterious of them all. He's studying the secret life of leopards. Michael Usher joined him on safari to be part of the biggest ever research project of its kind, trying to figure out how these magnificent creatures can coexist with the greatest predator of all, us.
No thorns.
For big cat biologist Luke Hunter and I, bashing through the South African bush late in the afternoon.
Smell. See it? Yeah, I can smell that.
Is about to pay off in a big way.
You got a leopard just there, yeah, just straight through there.
Spotting a leopard in the wild is an extraordinary experience.
Have a look there, Michael. So he's about a 6-7-month-old cub. You can see the big ears, hasn't grown into them yet.
And today we're even luckier because we've stumbled across not one, but 2 needles in the haystack. 2 young male leopard cubs.
So right now, he's about as inquisitive of us as we are of him.
Yeah, they're terrific at this age. If they've never experienced persecution, they've never been hassled by people. At this age, he's not confident enough to come and have a close look at us, but he's really curious. So we get these great experiences where they come out of the thick cover at this time just to have a good look at us.
This encounter gets better. Day turns to night and the cubs become more adventurous, inching even closer to check us out.
Yeah, have a look at him. Yeah, here he comes. Here comes our little fella.
We don't see their mum. She stays out of sight, but there's no doubt we're being watched.
Luke, for you, this is about as good as it gets, isn't it?
This is fantastic, Michael. I mean, this is seeing leopards really in their natural state, and this is clearly a wild animal that, he knows the vehicle a little bit, but it's a big job to sort of work to get towards seeing him. So this is the way leopards behave. This is seeing them in the wild state.
Luke Hunter is originally from Melbourne. He now works in New York for the Panthera organisation, helping all the endangered big cats. But it's here in South Africa, among the leopards, where he's happiest.
What is it about the leopard that you admire the most?
They're a magnificently athletic, supremely adapted cat. They really are the sort of the archetypal cat. So they're essentially a scaled-up version of your domestic cat, but more muscular, more powerful. All their senses are tuned, obviously, to killing for a living.
In full flight, there's nothing more awesome or deadly than an attacking leopard. They are supreme killing machines. And at rest, there's nothing cuter than a cheeky leopard cub playing with his mum.
He's down in the bushes right here.
He's so close.
But even though leopards are the most prosperous of all the cats in Africa, they're under threat. They're often killed by poachers or hunters. Their natural habitat is in decline, and farmers blame them for killing their livestock.
They're vulnerable?
Yeah, absolutely. They're persecuted by people, they're hunted intensively, and leopards in a number of places have disappeared. We know just in Africa alone they've lost at least a third of their historic range in pretty recent times.
So a good time of the morning to see cats on the move, eh?
Great time in the morning, yeah. The sun's just come up, so it's still very cool because of the winter, and it means that things like leopards and lions can still be active well into the morning.
To save the leopard, Luke needs to find ways man and cat can coexist. At the spectacular Phinda Private Game Reserve in South Africa, he's in charge of the world's largest leopard study.
But through your work, you've really become the voice for the leopards. You speak for them, don't you?
One of their voices, I hope. Yeah, not the only one, but yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really important. I mean, being the voice to say, look, here's what it's going to take in terms of good science and good management to make sure that that leopards are around for for the next generation and the generation beyond.
They're chasing.
The Phinda Wildlife Reserve is a remarkable conservation success story. The place is teeming with all sorts of big
And actually, this species of all the rhinos is doing relatively the best.
and small animals. But 20 years ago, this was 23,000 hectares of cattle grazing farmland and not much else. It was fenced off, and with the expertise of scientists like Luke Hunter, the natural wildlife was reintroduced. All the animals here, especially the big cats, are doing well.
That's just amazing, isn't it? Incredible. Now it's an extraordinary place when, a couple of years before I went there in the early 1990s, the most common large mammal was cattle. And now, of course, there's resident populations of lions and cheetahs and white rhinos and elephants and absolutely everything that historically existed there, up until it was cattle farms and game farms.
And that's great news, except that while most of the large animals stay within the electrified fences, the leopards don't, which means they're a headache and a target for neighbouring farmers.
That's a problem, and also threatening my livelihood in a sense. Yeah. That's where I make my living from, selling cattle.
That's right.
What a fantastic view.
It's pretty, huh?
Cattle farmer Bernard Koch is a big man with a big view, straight into the Phinda Reserve.
Now the leopards, their favourite spot would be at the rock.
He's had problems with leopards for years, and in the past has been ruthless.
We got rid of the leopards somehow.
Shot the leopards.
Yeah, we shot some, and I think one or two were perhaps poisoned. I just told my guys to sort it out.
Did you?
A leopard on the loose can be a real nuisance for a farmer. Already this year, Bernard's lost 6 calves, and that's cost him a lot of money. But with Luke's help, this rogue leopard is identified, and in this case, both men agree it should be put down.
Are these your leopards? Do you know?
Yes. And I would say in that situation, especially when Bernard's working really hard to sort of avoid the problems and not just get rid of every leopard, and there is really a problem individual, then he's entitled to remove it. I think that's the compromise that has to be made.
So you're not some jackbird conservationist who says, give us back all the land, the cats and the leopards have got to roam free, farmers and villagers, you've got to get out of here, we've got to save the cat.
It wouldn't work, it's just not realistic. We accept that people and livestock are in the landscape, but we don't accept that you should just obliterate leopards from that landscape. We want to meet you somewhere in the middle, and we believe it can help with that. Beautiful little spot, chaps.
Thankfully, leopards killing livestock is an isolated problem, and back at Phinda, Luke can concentrate on the more rewarding part of his job, counting and tracking as many of the cats as he can. His research aims to find out what they're up to and where they're doing it.
How many exposures have you got there, T?
It's full now.
Leopards are secretive animals, and so pictures from camera traps provide valuable information.
What's your station like for leopards? Do you get them much?
There's a big male that comes through here quite often, and then that little female that we've been trying to catch.
Yeah.
So, no, it's good. We've got lots of frat.
They're great photos.
Yeah, look, they're not going to win any awards, Michael, but they're fantastic for us. They let us.
Well, they tell you so much.
They tell us so much. Yeah, exactly. It's good.
It seems everyone at Phinda wants to be a star. But after sorting through the happy snaps, Luke finds what he's after. A female leopard whose near-adult cub needs to be caught and fitted with a radio collar.
So typically we get 2 years of life out of them, which is pretty good, and I think sort of justifies going to the effort of catching an animal and putting the collar on, because we get really great data from that.
It's all very well capturing them on film, but it takes plenty of patience and cunning to capture a leopard in the wild. To nab the young female, Luke's researchers, Guy and Tristan, set up a maggot-riddled but leopard-enticing snare. And while it might look a bit sinister, I can tell you this trap is as gentle on the animal as it can be.
So just ease your left hand in there.
So you can't see it, it's completely buried.
That's right.
Very concealed. So stick it in here?
Yep, just slowly, yep.
Okay.
And it'll go off.
Okay. Whoa!
There we go.
There it goes.
60 Minutes reporter, safely snagged.
Trapped.
Leopards are nocturnal, and it's late at night when a radio beacon alerts Guy and Tristan the snare has been set off. They quickly dart the animal.
Got it? You ready?
Yeah, I've got it. Oh, shot, gee, big shot. I've got time.
And let the anaesthetic do its job. The dose is low, so Luke and his team don't have time to muck about.
You can see her still moving around a fair bit.
But being this close is amazing.
She's got a full belly too. She's had a good feed.
She's had a good feed today. She's a great leader.
This is the 63rd leopard to be caught and collared in the Pindar study.
So there you go.
Wee, look at the size of them.
And so these are adult teeth now.
Yep.
At 14 months old and close to full size, the cub will soon be leaving the protection of her mother.
If you've ever come out anaesthetic, that's what the poor cat must be feeling right now. So, you know, it's a bit confused and miserable. And
So her new tracking device will give Luke and the team information about how she survives on her own and what human threats she might face.
Are you still finding new things out about them, or do you get bored out there in the field?
I'd never get bored with it. I think it's amazing. Just when you think, okay, I pretty much know what the leopard's going to do this time. I pretty much know what's going to go on in this population. They'll do something different.
you hear that? Yeah, she's this direction here. We picked her up. Yep. Yeah, that's not bad. That's fairly close.
A day after the darting, Luke checks in on Leopard 63, and we manage a quick glimpse as she walks through the bush.
This is a good result.
Yeah, isn't that terrific? So you can see now she's got absolutely no effects from the capture operation, and she's completely ignoring that collar.
That's working well.
Yeah, it's working fine. We wouldn't have been able to find her without it, of course, crashing through all that bush as we had to do. And that's the beauty of this stuff, is now we're going to be able to monitor her no matter where she goes.
Luke Hunter says of all the big cats, leopards receive the least attention. But he hopes his work will help change that and help save them. He wants everyone to be able to have encounters in the wild like this with these beautiful cats.
Your passion seems to keep on growing.
I'm really lucky that way. I think it's just, I still just really dig big cats. You know, I just love them. It's just, they're just a great thing to spend time with.
You dig big cats.
I do. I absolutely do. They're a great critter.
Will you follow the leopards until the day you die?
Day I die, absolutely. Yeah, I hope it's not at the hands of a leopard, because that might be, you know, a bit rough on the folks. But absolutely, yeah, I hope I drop in the bush one day.
It'd be more than a bit rough on the folks.
Well, yeah. Look, I've told them that if it happens, you know, that leave a leopard alone. It would have been my fault, not the leopard. So.